Palestinian statehood, fallacies of international law. I'm glad that my precursors have already brought many points I had thought would be necessary, but as they brought them, I can leave them out. The main fallacies to be found in the publications of public international law have at one point already been presented to you. One of the main fallacies is taking decisions and resolutions of the United Nations General Assembly as being law. They are not. And the United Nations Commission discussing this point already in 1971 said, no, this can't be law, because all nations knew the decisions are made under political perspectives. And so they were afraid that anybody could make law out of this, having the majority once and having the majority the next time not. You see, that's politics, that's not law. But you won't be surprised if you find this fallacy even in publications of well-known scholars on public international law, creeping in again under political colors and under political wishes. And I asked the foreign ministry when I dealt with all these problems officially in dealing with security policy in the Near Middle East. I asked the foreign ministry officially, do you have any legal declaration where you show why you are doing this? I meant everything what they told about Israel and the Palestinians and so on. I wanted the legal foundations. I got the answer. We always express very clear our legal opinions in our declarations and in our speeches. So you find them all there. That was an answer, and I didn't know where to look. But after some years, I found the well-known, famous Encyclopedia of Public International Law, published by the Max Planck Institute with many scholars from Germany and from other countries. 12 volumes, the last volume of this edition, which is relevant for our question, published in 1990. And in this encyclopedia, you find 5 articles. 2 on Israel and the Arab countries, Israel territory, territorial claims. 2 on Palestine, 1 on Palestine, 1 on the Palestine Liberation Organization. I was a little astonished to find it there. And 1 on Jerusalem. So I want to show you what the constructions are under which the EU policy may be coined as legal, yes. So you find there, what is the first and very important thing? You find no analysis of the legal consequences of the mandate of Palestine. They say it's a mandate sui juris, of its own kind, nothing more. Nothing on the consequences for the foundation of the State of Israel. And I don't have to explain the mandate to you, it was explained wonderfully. But what really astonishes, the partition proposal of the UN becomes, in one sentence, just the same importance as the mandate. I read the sentence to you. The Palestine Mandate, with its special provisions concerning the establishment of a national Jewish home, as well as the partition plan adopted by the General Assembly, are both authoritative forms of realizing the principle of self-determination. The principle of self-determination, furthermore, did not grant a title for the enlargement of the territory of Israel outside the frontiers drawn by the UN partition plan in 1948. Well, as a specialist in public law and to some degree in public international law as well, I was really astonished to read this from an authoritative voice in this encyclopedia, because there is no possibility of bringing the partition plan and the mandate together. And because, of course, it comes what needs to come. Israel's forces even occupied territories which had been assigned to the Arabs by the United Nations under the partition plan. You see, the partition plan grows bigger and bigger, and the mandate grows smaller and smaller. The same author goes on, and then I really didn't know what to think about it. The state of Israel, recognized by the international legal community, we don't know which territory, and accepted as a member of the United Nations, has rights equal to those of any other state and can, according to international law, defend her existence against any attempt to destroy her, basing her actions on the principles recognized in Article 2 of the UN Charter. Well, so I really would not like this author to be a legal consultant, for I would never know what he would propose in the next crisis. Leave the territories, defend them, what to do? Okay. But far worse, you may even say this encyclopedia, volume 12, with these articles I mentioned, you may say this volume borders to a declaration of legal war against Israel. Because now we only start. Now comes, few of you will know Münchhausen, which is a German author publishing stories where somebody rides over Moscow, going around with his horseback when he sees dangers coming and so on. Fantasies. And these legal fantasies and constructions we find now. The difficulty of the authors of this encyclopedia, and they talk with another that's quite clear, the articles are related to another. The difficulty was to explain the right of the Palestinians to statehood and to self-determination. That was a difficulty, and now we'll see how they managed to come over this difficulty. There are two constructions. The first is for lawyers and jurists not unknown, the famous legal second. You know, reading in one article, I won't quote it everything now for you, we have the interesting, you can't say recognition, anyway, construction that there has been a legal second between the founding of the State of Israel and the termination of the mandate. Though the founding of the State of Israel took place in the late afternoon of the, as far as I see, the 28th of April in 1948, and the mandate ended only at 12 in the night. This author finds the legal second somewhere around, running around there. And during this legal second, there was no sovereignty over Palestine. And that means in this second, the right of self-determination from the UN Charter went to the Palestinians. Okay, that's the first construction. Then we have a second construction, which is really much more dangerous. The second construction says we have the mandate. We have to discuss the mandate. And the author says, I look at what the court says, and it comes to a decision of Lord McNair, who deals with the mandate situation, Southwest Africa, Namibia. But he says, during the mandate, there's no question of sovereignty. Sovereignty only comes to exist when the situation of the mandate is being finished by the people, a nation getting sovereignty. Therefore, we don't talk about sovereignty. This author says, McNair is wonderful, and you must see sovereignty rests during all the mandate in the people under the mandate. And if there are different people, it rests in the different people. So he turns completely around what McNair said and takes this as a reference. The next point is, and now I come to the end, and that's the worst construction you find. Of course, you have always the construction which is fine, that during the sovereignty, during the mandate period, sovereignty was in abeyance. That's generally concluded, and that's fine. But the consequence of the authors is, of course, it's in abeyance, but it lies within the people at the same time. And as it lies in the people can do what they want. And you see, when the Palestinians, the Arabs, they call themselves Palestinians since around 1964. When the Arabs said, we want Jordan, and some notables did, and quite a lot of people did, that was sovereignty. That was their sovereignty. That means every Arab Arab cry for political domination, it doesn't matter in which direction, is a sign of sovereignty. You can imagine if you take somebody doing practice in public international law by writing, has to look at other conflicts in the past and possibly in the future, what constructions do. And with such a construction, the National Socialists invading Ukraine were of course completely legitimate, because the Ukrainian people were sovereign in every single of them, and they didn't want the Russian domination. So it was perfect. And if you take this construction, you will have many wars in the world, because if you construct sovereignty as being in the individual and not being in a people deciding to get sovereign, to produce a state, to produce a legal order, if you take out this process, which is necessary for sovereignty, you land in the hell which these authors produce. And I really was a little shocked to find all this in such a well-known encyclopedia of public international law, brought out by the most important research institute on public international law in Germany. Well, that's what I wanted to tell you. And so you see, these are the necessary foundations of the EU policy, of the German policy, and of the policy of many other states in Europe as well. Maybe there are some other articles in other countries. I couldn't go through all of them, but I'm sure you'll find, I know you'll find the same constructions or similar constructions. And for me, to see such a construction means that's the end of a precise, methodologically legitimated use of public international law. Thank you very much.